We'll come along to the DEFRA headquarters out here in St John's, talking to the Minister, Mr Gawne. The interview I want to talk to you about is what you've had in the media this week about the situation with Sellafield. I mean, the Isle of Man government's always been against it, always trying to close it. It's still there.
Yeah, we've got a clear policy. It's a long-standing policy from the department and indeed from the Isle of Man government that we wish to see the site closed. Now, obviously, the legacy that's left on that site after many decades of nuclear activity needs to be cleared up. And I think the thing that's brought this issue to the news attention at the moment is in relation to the National Audit Office, who recently issued a report about the activities of Sellafield Limited, who are contracted by the Nuclear Decommissioning Agency to decommission the site. And it's quite a damning report, really. You know, there's a lot of concern that I've certainly got out of that report about the lack of proper planning on the part of Sellafield Limited. You know, they'll set themselves targets, they'll set themselves budgets, and within a relatively short period of time of them doing that, they seem to have massively missed the target and missed the or significantly underestimated the amount that it's going to cost.
It's an old plant. I mean, it's being decommissioned. It's just the timing is your worry, is it, and how safe we'll all be?
I mean, it's not just a plant, of course. There are several different aspects to the work that's undertaken and many tens of buildings on the site. There's an awful lot of highly toxic radioactive waste on the site, which needs to be removed and made safe. And our concern, I suppose, with the Isle of Man government is that National Audit Office have said you're really not doing this properly. You need to up your game quite significantly. Added to which, of course, there's been news this week that Sellafield are going to be prosecuted for disposal of low-level radioactive waste at the landfill site. So that doesn't inspire confidence.
You're against it. The Isle of Man government's against it. And I mean, there's a possibility of new ones being built from Heysham upwards. I mean, there's all sorts of places that have been earmarked. They're not going to take any notice of you, are they, though?
Well, I don't know about that. It's not just us for a start. It's us and the Republic of Ireland. We have raised this on several occasions with our colleagues in the United Kingdom government. I've written again this week to the United Kingdom Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change. I will be chairing a meeting on the Isle of Man in about 12 months' time of the British Irish Council Environment Ministers, and again Sellafield will be raised at that point.
You've got Lord McNulty here today. He's on a hotline apparently to our Chief Minister these days.
Absolutely. And you know, we do use these channels. It's a big problem. I mean, where I sat in the UK minister's seat, I would argue that regardless of how quickly the United Kingdom wants to decommission the site, it's going to take time. What I think we're saying is we just want some reassurances from the UK that their commitment to actually decommission the site and the waste on that site, make safe the waste on that site. But you haven't got any, have you?
You haven't got any reassurance. You're not going to get any, are you?
Well, I don't know. I think we have had in the past. I think but this is the concern. You know, we read the various assurances, the various targets for clearing up the site. I think they're talking about 2020 was one of the target dates for clearing up all the legacy waste issues on the site. But we hear the target dates, and then we see the target dates slip by. What we want really is some reassurance from the United Kingdom government that they are serious about these targets. Because again, if they are thinking about looking at expanding the nuclear industry in the future in the United Kingdom, again, our opposition will be total to this if they can't be trusted to deal with the mess that's been caused in the past. You know, and I think they need to be able to convince their own people as well that they're capable of running a nuclear industry.
The reality is the lights have to stay on, and until other options become available, and the Isle of Man hasn't yet even get near its 15% renewables, but that's another story. I mean, the lights have to stay on, and nuclear seems to be about the only way that's going to be doable.
Absolutely.
So it's got to go somewhere, hasn't it?
And you know, I think possibly we need to look again at some of our opposition to the nuclear industry as Isle of Man government, and certainly we are.
Because it's against it, isn't it? The Isle of Man government's against nuclear.
Against the whole concept. That's the existing policy. But we are looking again at our whole energy policy, and as well as the whole sustainability, environmental policies that the government has. I'm supposed to be going back to Tynwald sometime in the new year to talk about our whole environmental and infrastructure policies. So we are looking at this.
So do I glean there that you're going to have a change of heart, that nuclear will be okay, but not in our backyard sort of thing?
Put it this way, if we were to have a change of heart, we would expect a nuclear industry to be safe and to be committed not to leaving a large legacy which is going to cost future generations a fortune and have a significant risk to neighbouring countries. At the moment, there isn't an awful lot of evidence that the United Kingdom is able to meet its own targets in terms of dealing with its own waste from previous generations.
People remember when Sellafield was actually discharging nuclear waste, albeit they were calling it low-level waste. I mean, that's not that long ago, is it?
It isn't. I mean, certainly when I was first elected, I was asking quite a few questions about the release of technetium-99 into the Irish Sea, and that has stopped. And, you know, Sellafield is better than it was, but it's still got loads and loads of very nasty chemicals, radioactive waste on the site, which, if there were a major natural disaster of some kind, God forbid, or if there were a major terrorist attack on the site, a lot of that radioactive waste could find itself in the Irish Sea, and that's obviously a major concern to us. That's why we're asking these questions. You know, we don't doubt the commitment of the United Kingdom to try and deal with the problem. What we're asking is, are they absolutely clear about the timescales? Do they perhaps need to reinvigorate their own internal policies and commitment to ensuring that when they set themselves targets, that they're not just targets to sort of brush aside opposition. Oh, look, we've got this wonderful target that says this is going to be done by such and such a date, knowing full well that that date's never really achievable. What they keep apparently seeming to do, Sellafield Limited, apparently seems to be doing is underestimating the risks. They're underestimating timescales. They assume that everything is going to work extremely well and it's all going to be done quickly. They don't put an awful lot in by way of contingency for cost and timescale.
What's your views on wind farms and alternative energy? I mean, do you see it happening here?
I'm absolutely sure that there will be greater use of renewable energy.
Wind farms, onshore wind farms?
I don't see why we shouldn't, although I know the Chief Minister has a very strongly stated public view on onshore wind farms. As far as I'm concerned, if onshore wind farms are capable of producing electricity at no extra cost to the Manx public and no capital from government is required, I don't see why we wouldn't want to do that. But others have different views.